Welcome to yet another edition of Face Off Radio versus Television. I'm Keith Osso from 700 ESPN and 1080 ESPN.
I'm Ben Kaplan from the KXLY for TV Sports Department. And I'm extra happy today because I get to rub in the fact that, wait, let me just ask, who won the Super Bowl?
The Giants won the Super Bowl.
and who said the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl?
That guy.
This guy right here.
I was wrong about the Super Bowl, and unfortunately I was wrong because I was right that it was a tough matchup for New England. Now, what Giants do great, getting pressure up the middle on Tom Brady, really seemed to be the difference. But I got to say, the best team, and I'll admit, the best team did win this Super Bowl. I think the Giants as a whole are a better team if you include the defense and the special teams, which you, of course, have to do. But the best player was a play away from beating the best team. And I think if you look at the day he had, the day Eli had, pretty comparable stats-wise. I know that Tom Brady had an interception, but he did have one more touchdown pass. They completed around the same amount of passes, around the same amount of yards. No question who was going up against a better defense that day. Tom Brady, under duress, they said 36% of the time he dropped back to pass, and he still had a pretty good day. One maybe drop pass away from being able to seal the deal against a pretty good team in the New York Giants, and congratulations to them. Congratulations to Ben on the pick. But the Giants win a Super Bowl, and showing once again when it comes to the matchup with New England, it's a pretty tough matchup.
Well, we talked about this last week. I had said I picked the Giants just because I thought they were clutch, and I thought Eli would be able to get it done in the clutch, and that's what he was able to do. He proved it. Tom Brady was asked if he wanted the ball late, down, or if he'd rather have his defense on the field, and they had the lead to stop Eli. He got a chance. He got what he wanted. He picked to have the ball late when this team was down. Unable to go ahead and lead his team down the field. I will say this, though. I said I thought Tom Brady was on the downside last week. You still have to win the big game for me in order to change my complete opinion of him, but you also have to give him better weapons. I mean, Wes Welker, he's a good receiver. I mean, he's proven it, and that's a tough miss. But, you're going to Deion Branch. He also had a tough, drop late in the game. And these guys just aren't, the same kind of receivers Eli had to deal with. And I can't say that I'm over Tom Brady until you give him comparable weapons. I mean, his top weapon was out. And so I think that I'm still saying Tom Brady's got to prove he can win the big one again and against a good team. But I'm not being as hard on him after yesterday's performance as I was last week.
Tom Brady did say he wanted the ball down. He said he wanted the ball down by 3 with 2 minutes to go, not down by 4 with 1 minute to go. He did get put in a situation, nearly impossible situation. He did put him in a position where they could throw the ball into the end zone. Unfortunately, they come one play away. But the Giants earned it. They're a better team that day. They won it, and they're the champions again. Now they need to work on speaking in public with their Super Bowl parade, because a little embarrassing.
I haven't seen it. Just some of the comments afterwards, it was the same kind of thing. Did you see?
Guys should not try to rap and things during these things. It's just awful.
Did you see the Patriots pictures that they took, though? It was Matt Light and
shirts off, baby. Yeah. Shirts off. He's pretty yoked.
Well, Gronkowski is.
Gronkowski's not allergic to the weight room. That was a big matchup over the weekend. Now a big matchup this week, and the matchup of the year so far for Gonzaga. They welcome in St. Mary's. They trail the Gales by a couple of games. They're going to have to get this win in the McCarthy Athletic Center. You were at Media Day this week. What's the mood with Gonzaga right now?
Well, I think, the mood, we actually asked Mark Few if this is one of the better rivalries in the country, and he said no. I don't necessarily understand that. I mean, I think these are two of the premier programs on the West Coast. They've proven that year in, year out. St. Mary's has proven they can beat Gonzaga. In the WCC title game, they've proven they can do it in Spokane. They've proven they can do it on their own home court. And, it's a pretty darn good rivalry. It's been back and forth. I'm saying that this isn't the biggest game for Gonzaga in program history. It's one of them, though, because St. Mary's isn't going away. They're not a flash in the pan. They lose this, they lose any chance at winning a 12th straight WCC regular season title. And St. Mary's is now the dominant program in this conference. They've taken that lead, and I think that that's why this is such a big game.
I wanted to see Gonzaga respond after being embarrassed at St. Mary's. The worst loss in Mark Few's history as the Gonzaga head coach. I haven't really seen that yet. They go to BYU. They get kind of embarrassed again. It wasn't until a late run that made that score a little bit respectable. The Gonzaga team has to show me something in this game. You got to come out and you have to want it more than the other team this time. Your talent alone is not going to get you a win. Just being at home isn't going to get you a win. Gonzaga is going to come out and have to show me that they want this game more than St. Mary's, or they're going to lose to them again.
And we both like Rob Sacre, but he has to show up. You're the senior leader on this team. You have to show up and lead this team to victory. Last time against St. Mary's, the big guy is a freshman. had a huge game against you. You need to show up and lead this team in a must-win, for the Zags if they want to have a chance at the WCC title.
Do they win this game?
No.
I don't bet against Gonzaga at home. That's the only reason why I'm picking Gonzaga. But again,
what has shown you that they can win this game?
Only because history has shown me every time I rule them out at home, they come up with a win. That's the only reason why I'm picking them. Everything I've seen out of them this year and everything I've seen out of St. Mary's this year says St. Mary's is going to win this game. But I won't pick against Gonzaga at home until they let me down. So don't let me down.
But remember
I'm picking
last year,
only because, well, yeah, they lost last year close with Mickey McConnell hitting a great shot.
Yeah.
But this team needs this win. They need this win. If you want to continue the streak of consecutive conference titles, they have to win this game or it's over.
So you are picking Gonzaga.
I'm going to pick Gonzaga.
Okay.
I'm picking with my heart instead of my head maybe on this one.
Yeah, I think St. Mary's wins this one. Okay, C.J. Mizell, the Washington State Cougar linebacker, no longer with the team after an incident at a fraternity party over the weekend. What does this say about the Cougar program? Just the fact of, had disciplinary actions before under Paul Wolf, and now one thing goes wrong under Mike Leach, and whoosh, he's gone.
Well, Mike Leach came in and said no tolerance. You get arrested, there's no tolerance on this program. He just proved it with C.J. Mizell. He said he wiped the slate clean with everybody, but you still remember. Just because you're giving a guy another chance doesn't mean you forget what he did before, because past actions show you what's probably going to happen in the future. Unfortunately for C.J. Mizell, great football talent, not a great head on his shoulders, and he proved it once again. And Mike Leach, as good as he is on a football field, you can't afford to have guys like that in your program. I think they did the right thing.
And one of the strongest areas that Leach had during the recruiting class was at that position. I think that what he's saying here is, hey, you know what? Maybe under the past administration, talent sometimes won over just because they needed. I mean, he was Mizell, a really like a 4-star recruit, and you could deal with that a little bit. Now it's like, you know what? We can replace it, and we're not going to put up with that. And I think that that's what it's saying. I don't want to say anything bad about the way Paul Wolf handled the situation and such, and letting Mizell and dealing with some of those things. But I think you can see that it's a bit of a tighter ship under what Mike Leach is doing.
I've always said, of all the sports we have in our area, high school-wise, there's 2 sports we can compete with anybody nationally. There's cross-country and there's high school wrestling.
Wow.
Jordan Rogers and me being invited to the Dapper Dan, which means he's one of the few people in the nation that gets selected to go wrestle up against the best in Pennsylvania. Yeah. You've seen him wrestle a lot this year. He's one of the best to ever come out of Spokane. Yeah. Talk about this kid, right?
He's, absolutely unbelievable. At 182 this year, by numerous publications, the #1 wrestler in the country at 182. He's also, by one national publication I read, one of the top 15 wrestlers in the entire country at any weight class. He's won national championships. He has dreams of being in the U.S. Olympic team someday. I think as a sports fan, you can attest to this. When you see greatness, you recognize it. And when you watch him, you just see greatness. And it's unbelievable. It's unfortunate that we're doing this now and that, he's at regionals and then state and then it's done. Because I would encourage everybody to get out there and check this kid wrestle just because it's unbelievable. And I haven't been around this area nearly as long as you have. And I was just talking to Phil McLean, who is the head coach at Meade, and he wasn't comfortable saying that Jordan was the best ever, but he wasn't saying that he wasn't. And he was definitely saying he was one of the top 2 or 3, if not the best.
Well, he's definitely in the conversation. You have the Roberts brothers at U-High. You have the Owens family, Brian Owen, who's Boise State. You've got some big-time names that have gone through. He's certainly in the conversation. And the fact that you're in the conversation is one of the best ever to come out of the wrestling community of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. You've got to go up into Sandpoint. They've always had some good guys up there. If he's one of the best, it means he's one of the best to ever come through here, and that's saying something. What I really like about this is it proves he doesn't like fop. He's a Dapper Dan man, and remember, the pleasing aroma is half the point. We'll see you next week on Face Off Radio versus Television.